Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Jack Beasley. I'm primarily a sports photographer, been dabbling in sports video over the last year or so, so I do a little bit of that. Several months ago, I did some photo reviews, sports photo reviews, and went through a lot of photos right then, and I got a lot of requests to do it again. Now, it's been a long time, and I know that, and I appreciate everybody who sent in their photos. Yes, that time is finally here for me to catch up with that promise to do a follow-on review. Now, unfortunately, I had a lot of photos sent in by a lot of different people. I'll do my best to get as many people in as I can in this video without making it overly long. I had to pick and choose on the photos. I tried to pick things that I thought would be beneficial to the most amount of people, or give good examples of either good or bad features that are in sports photos. With that said, I appreciate you being here. If you like what you see, please subscribe, hit the like, hit the notification bell. All right, let's get into it. All right, our first one is a photo by a person named Bill Fletcher. And Bill has a very nice composition here. ISO 400, 400 millimeter, f2.8, 1/2000th of a second. And it looks like it, 400 2/8 produce very nice backgrounds. So it's very nice. Zooming in, I like check sharpness, and obviously it's a very sharp photo. You could argue it's maybe a little too sharp. I suspect Bill used something to sharpen it up, but either way, it looks very nice. I like it a lot, so good job on Bill. So you're backing off a little bit. If I could quibble at all about this, is I generally, it's kind of, when you have people in the background like this, it kind of detracts from your main subject. If this person wasn't there anymore, this other player, and all you had was this nice soft background, it'd be, I think, compositionally wise better, but overall, very nice photo. So I don't have a lot to complain about it. All right, let's move on to the next one. All right, this next group is by Bryant Smith. He sent several, so I am going to try to look at them all, but it's going to be very quick. This first one is a basketball photo. Now, okay, nice action. This is shot at 70 millimeter, f2.8, ISO 4000, 1/800th of a second, which was enough to stop the action. What I would do, however, is straighten it out. It has definitely got a lean in it, and that's what I would do. And I understand that kind of cuts out some of the action, but you might actually have to bring it up to something about like that. That would be my only real criticism. Was it was definitely off center. Another technique you might want to use is to use a mask, highlight your subjects, and actually darken up the background. So mask the subjects and then darken the background, because they're kind of blending a little too much with their background. But otherwise, yeah, nice action photo. So next one, again, real quick. Again, nice action. My problem with it is if you zoom in, it is obviously out of focus. So that is a bummer. Not sharp at all. And if it was me, I would have rejected this photo. Perhaps the image before it or after that came out, but this one's it's just not sharp. Other than that, it's a nice action photo, well exposed. White balance is nice, but not being sharp, I can't really get in on it. Next item. So this one is sharp. So very nice and sharp. So good job on that. Grain's nice. 10,000 ISO. Obviously use something to clean it up. So good job on that. 800th of a second, f2.8, 74 millimeter. Sounds like it was probably in the end zone. It looks like it, perhaps. Or near the sideline. So good action photo. Very nice and sharp. Not too much to complain about. I think there's a lot of extraneous activity around them. I would have probably cut it down to about like that. It's kind of a bummer. The feet are kind of cut off down there. I'm not sure what you could do about it. It's possible to maybe bring it in a little closer, but you start to cut off at joints like down here. So that's a problem too. So we may be about as good as we're going to get. But, again, nice action photo, so I can't really complain. When you're shooting across the field and you've got a player who is very close to the sidelines, all the sidelines are pretty much in focus. It's hard to blur them out. And so what he apparently has done is decided, whoops, sorry. So what he has apparently done, he's decided to use selective color on the individual player, make them the rest of the background black and white to help him stand out from the crowd, which I applaud the thought, but I think I would have brought it down a little bit like this. Again, I'm a kind of a tight cropper. I don't see any point. The other problem here is he's not real sharp, not terribly sharp. I don't know if that's the lens that's the problem. Maybe it's been cropped so much that it's just not sharp anymore. This is a 300 millimeter. So from across the field, he probably just blew this thing up a lot. And it's just the image is kind of just fallen apart. So that's a bummer. Again, I applaud the thought. I'm not a big selective color guy. And the image looks like it may have just fallen apart from being brought up too much. But that's my thoughts there. Okay, this image is by Christopher T. And honestly, I don't got much to say in a negative way. I think it's a nice action photo. It is nice and sharp, a little grainy. What was it shot at? 10,000. So I'm wondering what you were using. You shot it at 1600th of a second. You might have brought it down a little bit, got a little less grain, little bit lower ISO. It's not horrible though. I am kind of wondering what system you use for noise reduction. It may have been in-camera noise reduction, which is fine. But overall, very nice photo. The whites aren't blown out or anything like that. Yeah, overall, I really don't have anything negative to say. Good photo. Okay, this next one is by Darren Fry. Well, as you can see, my Lightroom is saying the highlights are blown out, but that's easily fixed. So overall, I really don't have anything negative to say. ISO 200, 120 millimeter, f2.8, 1/5000th of a second. Nice and sharp, no complaints there. The background's nice and smooth. The subjects are standing out from the background. You could quibble slightly on the cropping, slightly. It's not terrible. Straighten that out. I'm using the goalpost back here to straighten it. But other than that, yeah, I really don't have anything negative to say. Nice photo. Thanks. All right, these next ones are by Dave Kaiser. So I think the problem with this one is your subject is spread over this entire frame, and it's hard to focus in on the actual person who's playing. I believe it's sharp enough. That's not really an issue. 11,400 ISO, 75 millimeter, f2.8, 1/2000th of a second. You probably could have gotten away with 1,000th of a second and gotten that ISO down. But, I mean, it's okay. You certainly caught the action. I mean, composition-wise, it doesn't really, like, draw you in, but it's not a bad photo. Next one. This one I prefer over the last because you can see the person's eyes, they're focused, you're kind of drawn into the action that's happening. You could see, the expression on their face, which you couldn't in the last one. If I were to change anything, I might bring it in a little bit. You don't need that space above her head. And I believe it's pretty sharp. Yes, pretty darn sharp. So overall, good photo. Other than cropping on top a little bit, I really don't have any complaint. Next photo. So this one, a couple things. First of all, I try to line up the background, and what I'm using is this line right here to get the horizon correct. The biggest problem I see here is this person's in focus, this person is not, and arguably this is this is the person you should be focusing on. So in that regard, I probably wouldn't have used this photo because this person's out of focus. But it is nicely exposed, and I really don't have a complaint there. Again, 2,000ths of a second, you probably could have gotten away with 1,000ths of a second and lowered your ISO a little bit. But the grain pattern's nice. I don't know if you used in-camera noise reduction. I'm kind of guessing you did just by the looks of it, but that's just a guess. But yeah, that's my opinion. This person's probably your main subject, and they should have been in focus, not this person. All right, let's move on to the next. All right, this person was just Nathaniel. That's what all I got out of the email. So ISO 400, 75 millimeter, f 4.5, 1/4000th of a second. In a daylight situation, yeah, I'm up around that number, especially with baseball, trying to stop action, stop bat swings, balls, that kind of thing. So zooming in real quick, yeah, nice and sharp, good action. It's a little dark for my taste, but I would probably bump it up just a little bit, maybe like that. As far as the cropping, I think my issue is there's a lot of empty space up here and a lot of empty space down there. So you might want, if you can change the cropping, I might have changed the cropping as far as chopping off that empty space up there. If we're going to keep that particular format, I might have brought it in like this. And yeah, you're cutting off her leg a little bit, but I think that's worth it to enhance the image. In fact, if I could go to a different cropping, something like this, it wouldn't be as bad. You just don't want to cut off people at the joints, especially, or halfway through their foot, something like that. So I think this is a stronger, more powerful look than the original. But overall, really nice photo. Like I say, I would brighten it up a little bit and crop in a little bit. But otherwise, nice action. So good job. So Lisa Smith has some a little bit different take on sports. She tends to be a little more artistic in some of her photos. So here we have a young player handing off the ball to the umpire, and this is the subject right here. It's sharp. It is pretty noisy. This is, I don't have any metadata that tells me how it was shot, but that's what I would say. I would say this is a little noisy. I don't know. Again, I don't know what this is shot at, but there's a way to fix that quite easily in post, and I would have done that. As far as it's a fairly dark image, and I might have brightened it up a little bit. Just, but that's me. So I'm thinking it's about a stop underexposed, and I'll reset it. Otherwise, artistically cool. I like it. I kind of wish I had seen this kid's face looking up at the umpire. That might have been a little more poignant, but artistically, it's fine. Moving on to the next one, we have another kind of artistic look. Monochrome. It is sharp, I believe. Yep, pretty sharp. And so artistically, not bad. Let me see. What do we do with contrast? We bump it up with contrast a little bit. I'm kind of a contrast guy when it comes to black and white. Yeah, I kind of like this a little bit better. It's not as gray and muddy. So you might want to consider a little more contrast in your black and whites. But that's just me. And going back to the original. Yeah, see, it's a lot grayer and somewhat a little muddier, but so yeah, I would say bump up the contrast. But my personal opinion. All right, moving on. Pitcher, the infamous pitcher shot. Again, a little grainy. No metadata tell me how it was done. I suspect, again, kind of blown up quite a bit. I suspect. And again, this is one of those things where if it was me, I would crop down to about like that and get rid of all this extra stuff. The trees are not adding to the story here. This person is the story. So I think that is better. It's not super sharp, which kind of lends me to believe this is blown up and it's very grainy. Again, shooting the baseball pitcher like this, trying to get this kind of shot, I'm usually shooting at least 300, perhaps 400 from right behind the catcher or not far behind the catcher. So this is what I would do. I would crop in and get rid of all that stuff that was above it. Now, by contrast, this image right here, I like all this extra space around it. I'm okay not cropping it tight because this actually helps tell the story. This person's flying through the air and it shows you, all the space that they're flying through. So to me, this works, having all that extra space. It is sharp photo. Again, I don't have any metadata to go with it. So this one I like. I like it quite a bit. So good job on this particular photo. And these next two are by Tim Shadley. Hope I pronounced that correctly. Okay, first one. Well, Lightroom's telling me it's the highlights are blown out. No biggie. If it was me, I would love to have these two kind of pushed to the right a little bit. So have this crops line, this third marker, move them. Obviously, these are our subject. I would move them to the right a little bit. And the way to do that is you just kind of bring it in a little bit, bring in the crop in from the right a little bit if you have the room, and brings them more centered. Very colorful. Your backgrounds are nice and blown out. 300 millimeter f2.8, 1/4,000th of a second. So good. And I believe it's very sharp. Yes, it is. So nice sharp image. I would just crop it in from the right a little bit. This next one, one, I think the horizon's a little off. So I would fix that. So here's a debate. Do you include this person over here as part of the story? Or do you crop in a little bit and let them go and focus more on these guys? I'm in these guys. And I'm okay with this guy not being here. He's still part of the story. You can see there's another player over there. But I think he's distracting slightly from these guys. So there's that. The other item is when I focus in, it looks like the image is falling apart. Again, I'm betting that these subjects are very far away and you've cropped this in significantly to try to bring them up. And I could just tell this is probably a JPEG with in-camera noise reduction. I just tell by looking at it. And so it's started to fall apart, which is a bummer. Yeah, ISO 2800. So some noise reduction is done, but yeah, it's just not. Yeah, I can see the edges of the pixels right here all around. It's just not really sharp. It's just think it's been blown up too much, and unfortunately, that just happens. The images start to fall apart when you blow them up too much. So that is what I would say with this particular image. This previous image, you were obviously much closer. Look, maybe you were in the end zone when you were taking this photo, and they were very close to the end zone. That's just a guess, or they were near the sidelines, but. Much sharper, cleaner image compared to this one. All right, that's it for the photos. All right, everybody, hope you got something out of that, either good or bad. If you appreciate what you saw here today, please hit that subscribe, hit the like, hit that notification bell. If you don't like what I said or you disagree with something I said, put it in the comments below. I would still love to hear from you. With that, I thank you, and I will see you in the next one.